When I turned 70, I remember sitting alone at my kitchen table early in the morning. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I had always imagined 70 would feel like a victory line, like I had outrun something. Instead, it felt like I had stepped into a new and uncertain country. Some of my closest friends were already gone. Men I had worked with for 30 years. Men who were stronger than me, wealthier than me, smarter than me. I kept wondering, why them? Why not me? And how much time do I really have left? So I started paying attention, not just to doctors and statistics, but to people. I watched who stayed strong into their 80s and 90s. I listened carefully, and I learned that long life after 70 isn't random. There are signs, quiet signs, signs you can see in yourself if you're honest. The first thing I noticed was balance. It sounds almost silly, doesn't it? But one day at 71, I nearly fell while putting on my trousers. It shook me. Not because I was hurt, but because I realized how fragile independence can be. From that morning on, I practiced standing on one leg while brushing my teeth. At first, I wobbled like a child. 10 seconds felt like a minute, but over time, I grew steadier. That simple habit did more than strengthen my legs. It sharpened my focus. Balance, I learned, is not just physical. It reflects how well your brain and body still talk to each other. If you can stand steady, it often means the systems inside you are still well connected. Another thing I began to notice was walking speed. I used to stroll slowly, hands behind my back, thinking that was what old men were supposed to do. But I realized the men who walked with purpose, not rushed, just steady and confident, seemed to last longer. So I made a small change. Every afternoon, I walked around my neighborhood with intention. I swung my arms. I lengthened my stride just a little. I imagined I had somewhere important to be. Walking became my quiet declaration. I am still moving forward. It wasn't about speed, it was about momentum. When you stop moving, life starts closing in around you. When you keep walking even slowly, you tell your body you're not finished yet. But the hardest lesson for me came after my wife passed away. The house that once echoed with conversation became silent. Days would go by without hearing my own voice. I told myself I enjoyed the peace, but the truth was, loneliness began eating at me. I later learned that isolation can harm your health as much as serious illness. I didn't need a study to prove it. I could feel it. My appetite shrank. My sleep grew restless. My energy faded. One afternoon, my grandson insisted I attend a local community gathering. I almost refused. I didn't feel like socializing, but I went. I sat quietly at first. Then someone asked about my career, and I found myself telling stories. People laughed. They listened. I drove home lighter than I had felt in months. Human connection, I realized, is medicine. If you are over 70, don't withdraw. Call someone. Join something. Speak. Listen. Your heart needs other hearts. Strength is another quiet predictor, not the kind measured in gym mirrors, but simple grip strength. Shake someone's hand. Can they feel life in it? I began squeezing a small rubber ball while watching television. It felt insignificant. Yet over time, I noticed I could open jars more easily, carry groceries without strain. Grip is more than muscle. It reflects overall vitality. When your hands are strong, you remain capable. And capability fuels confidence. A simple cold felt like a serious threat. But I began observing something important. It wasn't about never getting sick. It was about how quickly you recover. Some people caught a minor bug and seemed to collapse for weeks. Others rested, cared for themselves, and bounced back. I shifted my focus from fear to resilience. When I felt unwell, I treated recovery as a mission. I drank more water. I slept without guilt. I ate simply. I moved gently as soon as I could. Recovery speed tells you a lot about your inner reserves. If your body repairs itself steadily, that's a powerful sign it still has fight left. Curiosity may be the most underestimated sign of all. I have met 90-year-olds who talk about the future, and 70-year-olds who speak only of the past. The difference is curiosity. At 78, I felt intimidated by technology. Smartphones seemed like devices meant for another generation, but I decided to learn. Slowly, awkwardly, I practiced. I asked questions. I made mistakes. Something unexpected happened. I felt young again. Learning stretches the mind. It keeps the brain flexible. Read books, listen to new music, ask your grandchildren what they're interested in. Staying curious keeps you engaged with the world rather than retreating from it. And then there is purpose. After my wife died, I lost mine. For months, I drifted. Waking up felt optional. Meals felt mechanical. I realized something profound. When you no longer feel needed, the body listens. It begins to slow down. One evening, my daughter asked me to record stories from my childhood so the grandchildren would remember them. One day, that small request reignited something inside me. I began writing memories, recording lessons, sharing family history. I had a role again: storyteller, teacher, witness. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It might be tending a garden, volunteering once a week, mentoring someone younger, or simply being the person who holds the family together. But you must have something that pulls you out of bed with intention. Over the years, I've realized these signs are deeply connected. Balance, walking, strength, resilience, connection, curiosity, and purpose. They form a web. Strengthen one and the others often follow. Ignore one and the rest may weaken. If you are over 70, let me tell you something honestly. You are not fragile glass. You are seasoned wood. You have weathered storms younger people cannot imagine. But wood must be cared for. It must stay dry, supported, and in use. When it is abandoned, it rots. Do not surrender to the idea that aging equals decline. Yes, your hair may thin. Yes, your knees may ache. But your influence, your wisdom, your presence, those can deepen. Start small. Stand on one leg while holding the kitchen counter. Walk a little farther than yesterday. Call an old friend. Squeeze something in your hand while watching the news. Read a page before bed. Ask yourself each morning, who needs me today? And if fear visits you at night, because it will, remember this: longevity is not only measured in years, it is measured in engagement. I have known people who lived to 90 but stopped living at 70. I have also known people who packed more life into their final 5 years than most do in 50. I am 85 now. I do not know how many mornings remain for me, but I know this. Today I stood steady while tying my shoes. Today I walked to the park and felt the sun on my face. Today I called a friend and laughed. Today I learned a new word. Today I wrote another page. That is living. So instead of asking, how long will I live? Perhaps ask, how alive am I right now? If you can still balance, still walk with intention, still connect, still grip firmly, still recover, still learn, and still feel needed, then chances are you have more road ahead than you think. And even if some of those feel weak today, they are not beyond rebuilding. The body responds to attention, the heart responds to challenge, the spirit responds to purpose. 70 is not the end of the story. It is a chapter where wisdom finally meets freedom. You are no longer climbing ladders or chasing approval. You have the rare privilege of focusing on what truly matters. Take care of your body, yes, but also guard your attitude. Speak kindly to yourself. Refuse to shrink. Stay involved in life. Because in the end, the real predictor of how long you'll live after 70 may not just be in your muscles or your stride. It may be in your willingness to keep participating in this world. And as long as you are participating, you are still very much alive.